What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Seth's Project. It's been a long time since I've said that. It's been pretty much 3 years since I made my last serious video, so I just want to say thank you guys for almost 12,000 subscribers, I think. I don't deserve it, but it's certainly pretty cool to see that number and to think that that many people want to watch my videos. It just sucks that I quit making them. And I have no real excuses for that other than just time and not being out here. You sort of lose motivation when you don't do it pretty often. But my last serious video was on this Kumiko panel, and I'm still extremely pleased with how this came out, and it's still one of my favorite things I've ever built. It's just, you know, I strive for perfection, and this was as close to perfect as I could have ever hoped, and you guys seem to really like it. Now, you guys also had a bunch of questions about these Kumiko jigs that I was using. So I thought it'd be really good to come back to YouTube and sort of go over these Kumiko jigs to maybe help some of you guys out. So let's just dive right in. So this is the thickness planing jig. And so my process is I have my boards and I'll take them to the thickness planer and I will thickness plane them down to 14 millimeters. And then I will take it to the table saw, and you can see this in the video where I made this Kumiko panel over here. And I will cut these strips out at about, these are 3.8 millimeters, so I would say 4.8 maybe, just a millimeter thicker. And that gives me enough material to plane off and get everything nice and flat. So I've got this test strip, and this one is actually a 3.3 millimeter strip. And you might be wondering where I get that 3.3 millimeters. Well, that's actually the thickness of the kerf of a full kerf table saw blade, because if you watch the video of me making this, you know that that's how I cut the lap joints. So these have to be dead on precise with that. So you want it to be a nice snug fit. I found that 3.3 is the dimension for that. So that is what this is. Now, on the infill pieces, I want them to be thinner because I think it looks good to have a separate thickness for those two. And so that is what these two are. This is the first pass. This is 2.6 millimeters. And so it's just about a millimeter thinner than the full kerf blade. So it's a thin kerf blade and a full kerf blade. And that's where I get these dimensions from. It's just in millimeters. This would be, I think, 1/8, and I think this would be 1/16. But I've sort of fine-tuned these thicknesses to be perfect. And it took a little bit of fine tuning, as you can tell. This one actually has tape in it because it was actually too deep, and once you go too deep, you can't really add material. But this tape trick worked pretty well. Now, I also have a first pass and a second pass, and you might be wondering, why in the world would I do that? Why don't I just take it all off one side and then now it's to thickness? Well, I like to have these perfectly shiny and nice and polished and also flat on both sides. So that means if I come over here to this one and I plane it on this side, now I know it is flat to this surface down here, and then I can flip this straight over and put it in this surface here. And that way I know everything is parallel. It's almost like a thickness planer. It's like this one is the joiner, and you put it on this side and is now the thickness planer, if that makes any sense. So now, I'm sure a lot of you can understand that. Now, a lot of the questions with this jig came from, how does the thickness planer not plane into the top of this MDF? Well, and to that, I really don't know. That's sort of the magic of this jig, is it doesn't. I think it's just how smooth this is. It just doesn't bite. I don't really know. And this works with the Japanese planes and also the Western tools. I would use a block plane. As long as you're not pushing down super, super hard, it won't cut into this MDF. And that's just the magic of it. So it's super simple. And so let's go ahead and demonstrate it. All right, let me move this panel out of the way so I don't break it. That would be bad. I'd have to make a whole new one. That's a whole nother video. Okay, so I'm gonna put my strip in here. And obviously you can make these strips as long as your jig is. I would say the hardest thing is if you got any sort of bow in these boards, or in these little pieces, these little strips, if you press out here, sometimes it'll want to pull it up out of the jig. Now, there's probably some things that you can do, but I don't have a big enough problem with that to really have to worry about it. So Now, first thing is grain orientation. You'll find out pretty quickly if you are planing the right way. But with a nice tuned up plane, I really don't have to worry about that at all because it will plane both directions. So let's get started here. And I lied. This is the right direction. I think I need to actually sharpen this blade. It's been a while. Yeah, that's much better. And so this is just planing until it no longer planes anymore. I mean, it doesn't really get much more simple than this. And just, so satisfying. Look at these shavings, just so beautiful. So, you know, I could be running this through a drum sander, but look at all this fun I'm having. And if you run it through a drum sander, you don't get this nice surface finish, which I think to me is worth doing it just on its own. But I like perfection. I like to do it as best as I possibly can. And so this is what allows me to do that. And so that's really why I like this method. And also I don't have a drum sander, but we won't talk about it. So as we get closer, I just want to fill. And sometimes if it's close enough and it's pretty even in thickness, I'll actually just go ahead and go to the next one because all I'm really doing here is just flattening. And again, I'm getting close, so I'm just going to sort of not push down as hard. I don't want to dig into the MDF because you can if you really, really try. But I'm still taking a shaving, and it seems thicker up here, so I'm going to keep going until I no longer get a shaving. I'm no longer getting a shaving down here. It's okay. I'm also looking for MDF shavings. I don't want to see MDF shavings. Okay. So if you just planed like this, you just want to flip it straight over and put it in the other one. So now I don't have to take much off, which is nice. That means that I don't have to spend so long on this final pass, but we're just going to head on here. Ooh, so nice. Just look at that shaving. Man, oh man. It's got to be one of my favorite things about woodworking, is taking shavings. Especially when they're as nice as these. This aspen planes beautifully. And this hand plane could use a sharpening too, but man, some nice shavings. Always satisfying, no matter how many times I do it. There's been times where I just come out to the shop just to do this. Because wow, it's amazing. I think I need to reset this blade. I'm actually digging in on the left side, which means this blade's tilted, but for those demonstration purposes, you can actually hear it digging in. You definitely don't want to dig into your jig. That will throw everything off. So I probably need to reset this blade, and it's looking like, yep, I do. But for the sake of the video, this will work just fine. So I think I'm there anyway. So that's that. Just trying to see if I can show you guys just how nice of a surface finish this is. It's kind of hard, but you can see how shiny it is. It's just a beautiful surface finish. And it's really my favorite part about this jig is the fact that I can get such a nice surface finish and also perfectly thicknessed. And whenever the Kumiko panel comes together, it really makes a difference having that really nice surface finish. Now that I've demonstrated it, I would like to sort of explain how I made it. And it might be pretty obvious, but it's a bit of trial and error. I just take a router bit and I make a pass, you know, with a fence. That way I can make a nice straight cut. I make a pass and I will actually use a strip and I will plane it and I'll use some calipers and I will figure out what exactly that thickness is and how close I am to the thickness that I want to be. And if I'm too far, well, that sucks, because either you can put tape in it, which I don't like to do because it doesn't look good, or you can restart. And I've had to do this a couple of times to get this right. The good thing is once you have it right, you don't have to mess with it. So yeah, I just take a router with a fence and I route these out, and I slowly increase the depth as slow as I possibly can until I reach that desired thickness. And I just, like I said, use the hand planer to verify what that thickness is. And so, like I said, the first pass is 3.8 millimeters, the last pass is 3.3, so we're looking at a 0.5 millimeter difference. So I'm only taking 0.5 millimeters off on this final pass. Same thing with this one. So that's pretty much it. I would demonstrate making it, but I've already made one and I actually don't have any more material on hand right now to make another one. So that pretty much sums up my thickness planing jig. It's very simple, so this was sort of a short video, and it really allowed me to make this. This was a key component to getting this level of precision and this level of sheen and just overall good appearance of this Kumiko panel. This was key. And this was really a game changer for me. So I felt like it was a good first video back, and I know a couple of you had questions about it. Now, here's a question. If I was to make these, theoretically, would you guys be interested in buying them on my website? Just leave me a comment below if you might be interested in something like this, and maybe I can make some more jigs. You know, I've used quite a few jigs. You can see them in the video, and they're not all complicated to make, but they are very nice when they're done well, and they allow you to make these Kumiko panels at this level of precision. And so I would like to maybe share some of those jigs with you guys. If you're not interested in making them, maybe you could pay me to make them. So this is really a nice one to have. This is like an essential one. You can do a lot with this. You can, you know, if you're not into the table saw method of cutting Kumiko, you can at least use this to make your strips, and then you can go, you know, to hand sawing these out to make them by hand, which is fine. I'm not that good though. So it's a really nice jig to have. So let me know if you guys are interested in something like that. Like if I make these maybe in a smaller scale or a bigger scale, or made them a little bit more versatile. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I could do with it. So just let me know in the comments. I'm making a website, and that's sort of a surprise, but what's going to go on it is going to be pretty in depth. So I've been working on it for a couple months now, and I'm just learning a lot, basically. So anyway, I'm working on a couple other videos, some build videos and stuff like that I've been working on for a while. And so I will see you guys very, very soon. And maybe I'll come up with another Kumiko video, maybe a little bit more in depth on maybe the joinery and maybe some interesting patterns. So let me know what you guys want to see. It's been a long time. Hopefully you guys are doing well. So I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.